we'll gather around, feel the love come down. Blue elephant is strong, together we belong. In every comment right.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are using, this is Julie Cuts from Pouring Your Heart Out. This is her little bunny mold. And honestly, it's the first mold that I have ever used from her, and I'm really excited. And I thought that with Easter right around the corner and spring here and bright colors would be really cool to try these little pom-pom balls inside the resin, inside this mold. Now, here's the thing. If you've never worked with any kind of fabric, anything, and yes, I know they're not fabric as in material, like that kind of stuff, but they are in a sense, right? You have to account for certain things. And we're going to get into that in a minute. Let me just tell you first what I did. Now, I figured this mold isn't really, like, it's big, but it's not big. It's fairly small, but it's very wide, right? A lot of open space in there. So I thought, well, with that, but I'm adding a bunch of pom-poms in there, so that's got to displace some of the resin, so it shouldn't be that much. So I mixed up probably, I think it was about it was 6 ounces of Bond Craftor epoxy resin for this, right? Mixed it up. I divided it into 2 cups. Now, I did run it through my bubble remover machine. Is it going to make a difference? I'm not really sure, because I know that we're going to get a lot of air bubbles from these little pom-poms, okay? Now, the one thing that I wasn't thinking about, and I have used them before, I've used teeny tiny little ones in a way smaller mold last year at Christmas time, I think it was, when I did the Into Resin little hippo mold. I used red and green ones, and it turned out super cute, but these ones are, there's a lot of them, and some of them are really big. Let me tell you that they soaked up, because I divided my cup into 3 ounces, 2 cups into 3 ounces of resin. They soaked up that resin real fast. 3 ounces of resin gone in just the first little bit of pom-poms that I put in there, which at this point I'm like, oh my God, like that's insane. Like I knew it was gonna, well, part of me thought it was going to suck it up, but part of me was also like, I'm going to use less resin because I'm putting stuff in there that's going to take the place of the resin. Yeah, it didn't work that way at all. It ended up probably taking twice as much resin, I feel. It feels like it, than the mold should have taken to begin with. Anyway, so I put them in there to start kind of soaking up the resin, so that hopefully that would reduce the amount of air bubbles that I'm going to get. Now, is it gonna do that? I don't know, but we're gonna try. Now, I did spray my mold with alcohol first, again, trying to prevent bubbles from occurring wherever I can. Poured in a little bit of clear, and then I started to add in my resin-soaked pom-poms. And I'm just kind of using my silicone tool to push them in the head so that there's no open spaces. I want it jam-packed full with as many of these as I can get in there. And the ears at this point didn't have any, so I got the smallest ones, because I think they're like 3 sizes. They're like the teeny tiny little ones. There's one a little bit bigger, and then there are those big, huge ones. And I wanted to shove the teeny tiny ones in the ears so that the ears weren't completely clear and it kind of flowed with the rest of the piece. So I'm working them in, trying not to create more bubbles. I can already see the amount of bubbles that's coming up from that resin that's in there, and I'm a little worried, right? But we're just going to keep on keeping on. Now, as I used all 6 ounces of resin, and I kind of had the thought beforehand, but I've done some larger molds, and when you put different add-ins into your resin where it's going to take up more space, so you're not using quite as much resin, you can kind of get away with maybe using regular epoxy resin for those type of molds. Like maybe if I had used marbles instead of the pom-poms that are soaking up the resin, it would have been completely different and I wouldn't have had to worry. Now, here's the thing. It's already starting to warm up. Like I can feel it warming up. And you would think a normal smart person at this point would be like, okay, I can feel it getting warm, but then I thought, well, maybe it's just my head and it's just playing tricks on me and it's not really getting warm because, now I'm like paranoid that I'm going to have a flash cure, which knock on wood, I've never had before. Um, but I keep on keeping on because I'm like, it should be fine. It should be fine. I'm adding stuff in there. I'm not really using that much. This is the story that I'm telling myself anyway. But that's not true. And what I did was really, really dangerous. And I am going to strongly suggest that you guys don't follow what I did on this. This could have been really, really, really bad. Now, this is regular, normal epoxy resin, okay? It's not fast cure. It's not any of those things. This cured in 3 hours. In 3 hours, it was rock solid. So that just tells you how fast that exothermic reaction was on this piece. And it could have been really, really bad. It could have started smoking. It could have caught on fire. If I wasn't paying attention to it, if it catches on fire and I've got stuff around, because I've got stuff everywhere, like it could have very easily burnt my house down. Like, this is where it's really, really important, especially those of you that are new to resin. Learn your resins. I know when I was first starting off, I was like, oh my God, there's so many different types of resin. And how are you supposed to know what's for what? And does it really even matter? It absolutely 100% matters. It matters, just not in the, oh, well, if I use a deep pore resin in this, I'll have less chance for bubbles occurring because it takes longer to cure. So, the bubbles have more time to raise to the surface. That's yes, that is a good side effect of it, but that is not the reason why you should do it. Like, you need to know thereabouts what your mold holds. You need to know what your resin can handle. Like, and I'm not saying push it to its max. Read the directions. They give you directions in your resin for a reason, and it's for your safety, right? The safety of you, the safety of your family, the safety of your pets, all of those things. Like, and then the fumes that could have come out. Now, I had my air purifier on and whatever, but like it could have been really, really bad. So I cannot stress the importance of knowing what product to use for the job. And it could be, well, I don't have money for 15 different kinds of resin. Okay, that's fine, then do it in layers. Like, I did a really, really stupid thing, and I don't want anyone out there in YouTube land to do the same thing and something happened. Maybe the outcome isn't the same. Okay? All right. So, here we are. Now this is 24 hours later. I didn't demold it right after. Um and I'm already going to tell you that the bottom of it, I have a lot of air holes. Now, that's for two reasons. One, these things, because they're so floofy and whatever, they have a lot of air in them, right? Even though they're sucking up the resin that I've put in there, they're still releasing air. The second reason is it cured like 5 times faster than what it should have. So it doesn't, the air pockets didn't have enough time to rise to the surface. If they would have, like, some of them, they're just going to be whatever. And I'm pointing out all of them along the bottom. Now, I didn't get too many near the top. I got a couple of teeny tiny ones like under the chin, and I think one on the ear. The majority of them were at the bottom, which is typical for any mold that has the kind of overlapping mold like that for, it is what it is, right? But a lot of it was because I didn't use the right resin. I should have, for what I was doing, 100% used a D4 resin for this. Okay. Now I'm just cleaning off the edges. I do have a lot of sharp edges. I filled this mold up to the top, like I domed it, but I guess the pom-poms and just the fastness of the curing, it just, you know how resin shrinks anyway, and I feel like the faster that it cures, the more it shrinks. Between it curing really fast and the pom-poms, it did kind of I lost quite a bit of resin there, so I do have a sharp edge to clean off. Now, two of the pom-poms, that green one and that white one, were kind of they just weren't down underneath the resin enough by the time everything was said and done. So they did end up kind of leaving like a little bump, which has made the bottom of this a little bit uneven and it rocks back and forth. So as I was fixing all of these holes, or at least the bigger ones, I decided that I'm just going to go ahead and even this out with some UV resin along the bottom, and hopefully that will fix the issue and it'll set flat. So after I'm done filling all the holes, that's what I'm going to do with the UV resin. Now I'm just spot curing these real quick so that they don't move. I am going to put it under my Let's Resin cordless UV light for 5 minutes. I just want to make sure, it shouldn't take that long, but I do want to make sure that everything is completely cured and I don't have any issues. And I am starting off the first minute and a half with it like higher, the light higher above the rabbit than what I would typically do, and that is to prevent any wrinkles or excess shrinkage from the UV resin. And then after about a minute or so, I am going to push it down really close to it so it gets the full effect of all of the wattage of those UV lights. And of course, it's still not level, but whatever. At this point, it is what it is. And I thought about cutting this part out, but I decided to leave it in. I was going to do up the face, and we've talked about this before, where eyes are one of the most important pieces that you can do when you are creating an animal, a person, or whatever. If the eyes are wonky and wrong, your whole entire project is going to look off. So I started with the eyes, and I really do need to get a better white oil-based paint pen because this one is just garbage. Started with the eyes and the nose and was doing some things, and the eyes, they're not working for me. They're really not. It was really hard to see, especially with the pom-poms and the way that they kind of distort it a little bit. It was really hard to see where the eye like divots were or whatever for this. So I scrapped it, started over again, scrapped it, said the heck with it. I'm just not. I'm just going to do a few little rhinestones, nothing crazy. I just kind of outlined the bottom of the ears, and just so that the rabbit has some kind of eyes, we'll put one rhinestone in each eye hole, and then that's going to be it. We're going to call it a day. I did highlight its mouth. It has whiskers. It has obviously like the nose, but I just wasn't feeling it. So because I'm not feeling it, it's not working out right for me. So I'm just not going to do it at all. It's not looking right. But I think that the rhinestones along the ears really just gave it this little cutesy, kind of elegant looking bit. And really that's kind of it. I used a liquid fusion to adhere them. And I'm happy with it. I think it looks really cute. It would have been better had I used the right resin and just used a deep pour. I don't think I would have got nearly as many bubbles, and I definitely would have had a lot less stress about the whole situation, because let me tell you, until it was cured and cooled down, I was freaking. Like, seriously freaking. Like, what am I going to do? Like, should I just put it outside now? Like, I don't know what to do. So I do want, as I finish this up, I want to again stress the importance of knowing what resin you need for the job at hand of whatever it is that you're trying to create. Just safety reasons alone. Please, please, please don't be like me in this instance. Just do what you need to do to figure it out. And if you don't have deep pour resin and that's what you need, just do it in layers and go that route. Like I really can't stress that importance. Anyway, that is pretty much it. That is a wrap on this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys on Saturday in the next one. Love ya. Bye.
Elephant is strong. Together we belong. In every comment right, you lift me to new heights. Your support, it's clear, gives me reason to cheer. Blue Elephant Crew, this one's all for you. You make dreams come true with everything you do. Each subscriber's heart